I'm just thinking it through, right? I mean, it could become equivalent to veto power. And so I guess I would be curious about the agreements. Like, is it that you just get to say, oh, hell no, that person, no? Or is it they're, I don't know. I would be curious how the list comes about and how much agency each person has in it.
So we're talking about messy list. This is our topic today. And I've never heard the term either. Um, but you bring up a good point, Kelly. I guess that, yeah, that I didn't really think about in this short little 1 minute that we started talking about this.
Yeah.
But like, how is that different from, is it different from veto power? Because it sounds, like you said, it sounds like veto power, which is like a partner being able to say no, right? Like vetoing another person's choice, and saying like, no, I don't want you to to engage with them.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd like to hear the difference too. In my mind, I'm guessing that the messy list is more of a collaborative agreement versus like veto power is your partner just saying like, this is what I feel, this is what I'm saying goes.
So I'm going to read you all the messy list definition. So,
Right.
messy list is a concept primarily in polyamorous communities for a list of people like family, coworkers, close friends that one's partners should avoid dating because it would create too much drama, complication, or risk damaging existing support networks, acting as a boundary to protect one's life and relationships from unnecessary disruption. It's about setting personal limits for relational safety, not controlling partners, and often focuses on categories of people rather than specific names. So, this comes to mind like code, like there's like sometimes there's relationship codes where best friends are off limits or family members are off limits, things like that. Um, so I don't know. I think my experience with like, for example, let's take the lesbian community. There's growing up and being around women that dated women, like everybody dated each other, everybody slept together. It was like pretty common because it was kind of like a core group of queer women. Like there wasn't a lot of other women that were doing this. So there was a lot, there was running jokes around how incestuous these communities were. Um, so I think that the heterosexual community has a lot more like rules and regulations around um, this concept of the messy list. But I just thought it was interesting, and um, you wondered what your thoughts were, how you have navigated it in your own life, and how you would encourage your clients to um, navigate something like that. And maybe it is for more hetero identifying clients. I'm thinking of one of my associates has a couple that they see, and the couple opened up, and I feel like they were like swinging with this other couple, and then one partner of one couple got really close with one partner of the other couple, and now it's like really messy and they can't be friends and there's a lot of drama. So I don't know, I'll let y'all jump in.
I'll, I just had something recently with a couple. They're non-monogamous and typically they wouldn't date the same person, but that this couple started dating another couple, right? And it did happen where two of them began to get a lot closer and the other one wanted to retreat completely and wanted the partner to retreat completely. And, after talking about it, it wasn't a form of, it wasn't to be punitive, it wasn't to punish, but there was a lot of jealousy involved. And so it's kind of hard to say what is that? Is that the messiness? Is just the being jealous messy and we should stick through and work it out? Or is it no, like this isn't healthy for us because it's causing problems with us? So I just think it's so
Well,
specific to the
case
situation.
by case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a blanket answer for this.
Yeah, when I think about like I just can think about myself, put myself in that, and I remember how I felt around it and what came up for me, and it was definitely it was a combination of things. It was jealousy, it was some embarrassment, some shame, some worried about what people think about me, all the things, So like oh man, what are they gonna think about me if you try to talk to this person and these people found out, or how are they gonna view me, or or obviously, and then the jealousy, aspect is there as well. But yeah, I just think it's a combination of things, and I remember having to just check in with myself and just really ask myself, like, what was the problem? Like, what was I worried about? What was the concern? And I think it can feel like I was again speaking for myself. I know it felt painful or it felt like it hurt, And again, it was more so about honestly me just being in all those uncomfortable spaces and having to try to and not want to deal with them, or try to face them. I remember one time we were in a couples therapy session, and I remember and what was said to me was that, you know, uh, that I keep moving the goalposts, and am I really okay with Melissa dating? And I was like, and I had to think about it, and I finally had to admit and come out and say that I really wasn't okay at the time, with you know, yeah, I just wasn't okay with what it was, what was happening, and things of that nature. Yeah.
That's a really good reminder, that moving of the goalpost, right? Like kind of what Kelly's saying. Like, is it like the goalpost can move? One minute I'm mad that you're dating this friend of mine. Well, now I'm mad that this, so it's like you have to be kind of aware, like, why are you upset that they're dating your friend, right? Or they're dating someone that you know in your friend group, or, you know,
Yeah.
I kind of feel like, and I talked about this with my partner, like initially, early on, I was like, exes are off limits for for me. I was like, I don't want to get re-involved with an ex in in a situation like this. So I was kind of saying it for me, and then but yeah, it's hard to like, well, that's not something that I want to dictate for other people. I just know that I wouldn't want to go date an ex, maybe, or date my partner's ex.
Yeah, and I mean, I think another thing that could be an element is using something like that to give yourself permission to do something. Like, oh, well, I don't particularly like that you're dating this person, so that opens up the door for me to be able to do this other thing that you might not like. I mean, I mean, I get why it's called the messy list because it gets really involved and messy. And, as far as changing the goalpost, it can be difficult to stick to some really rigid boundaries. And so in a way, it is good to continue talking about it and changing it if it works for everybody, but it can feel, hey, Zoe, it can feel like the goal is being changed for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of things came up for me. One was around just again that idea of bringing a lot of the monogamous ideals into a non-monogamous relationship, like picking and choosing what I'm okay with dealing with and what I'm not okay with dealing with, or what I'm open to doing and what I'm not open to doing, and because what I'm hearing like around like sometimes people not wanting someone to have an emotional connection to somebody, or sometimes like to deepen the connection and feel this, like because that can feel scary, right? We talk about the new relationship energy and all that type of stuff, and just like maybe not feeling like enough or feeling like care about somebody more. Just all the things coming up for me when I'm listening to it, and hearing about because I would ask like are we concerned about our partners? Do we not trust our partner's discernment? We not trust our partner in choosing somebody, and have we talked about, have we had a conversation around, not bringing, and it's not about a messy list. It's about why would we bring somebody into the relationship that would disrupt us potentially, right? Or could be problematic or so-called drama, whatever, whatever word somebody want to place in there, like that. I think that is more so the conversation, when I talk to my clients, I think about like that kind of stuff.
That's
Mhm.
such an interesting I will speak on this just because I imagine other people might be experiencing something similar. I know when you used to say things like that, like what you just said, I used to feel really activated by it. And I think I have a wider perspective on it now. Um, but there was still, I still had a moment where I was like, oh, wait a minute. I don't know how I feel about what you just said about this whole like, um, why would we choose to bring somebody into our relationship that would you say threaten the
Yeah,
relationship
yeah.
or something like that? Yeah,
And
threaten
threatening
the
relationship in the
relationship.
sense of like bring like drama or be problematic, like to come in and causing chaos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bring drama and problematic. Yeah. And so, and I think in my experience, where the nuance light, or I want to say nuance, but maybe that's just me, I don't know, trying to justify or something like that. But where the nuance felt like it lied was where one person doesn't necessarily, and of course, understandably, the person doesn't see the person that they're interested in necessarily as that, because they don't have the same experience or relationship or engagement with them. And so it's like, ooh, what do we do with that? That's such a slippery slope of like, is this person though really going to come in and cause drama? Or is that your fear? Or is that, your experience with them? And then same questioning ourselves, like, do we take that into account? Like, is that something important to take into account that even though we haven't had that experience with the person, our partner has, and that is a real, fear and concern. So I don't know, it just brings up a good conversation that I think at first I wasn't open to, and now I am, but yes.
Or maybe they don't bring drama, but maybe it changes your relationship with that person now that
Mhm.
your partner is involved with them, right? Like,
Mhm.
you know, or had a relationship with them or whatever, right? It can because it will change things, right?
Yeah,
I
we've
just want to
experienced.
do a shout out to Zolani.
Hi.
Do you want to say hi, Zozo? No?
What's up,
All right.
Zoe?
Not in the mood for this today.
We've had so many variations of this experience, I think, for so many different reasons. I don't know that we've ever said, did we ever say like no?
Yeah,
Did we ever say no,
and
that can't
I
happen?
was gonna speak to that. I have definitely
Yeah?
said no, and then Melissa pushed back and was like, well, like I'm, like not in an unhealthy way, but it was more so to
Okay,
push
you
us
be honest.
in
It gets
growth.
to be
No, no,
unhealthy.
no. Well, what comes to mind though, what we did. I mean, what I did come to understand for myself is that you know what, I'm not dating that person. Yeah. So if that person and her decide to date and it goes left, or they act a certain way, it's not me. I'm not dating that person. Like, it's like almost like a natural consequences type of thing. Like, like, yeah, you choose that person, then by all means, hey, that is your choice that you're making. And yeah, I'll be here. Obviously, I'll be here for you, like to but I'm not going to go back and forth with the, ups and downs of the relationship. I'm not getting dragged into that, but, I will be here, you
I
know.
can't wait for the sidebar because I don't know who you're talking about. But okay, anyway, I like to hear that.
The sidebar.
Forgot.
Oh,
I forgot. It's okay. We can talk later.
oh,
We can talk later.
you remember who it
I do?
is? Yeah.
I don't because I'm like, who is it?
We've really used y'all a lot in your
Oh,
personal experience.
no,
Yeah.
that wasn't a no.
Yeah. 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 Because of the whole when we met for dinner.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I guess that was a no. Um, so I was going to share some of the examples and how we've experienced something like that. Or not share. So,
And I whispered because I didn't want to say the name out loud. I'm
of
not trying to
course.
throw anybody under the bus. So,
Of course.
yeah.
So, I think so in my experience, we've experienced this where it's like, I just don't like that person. I just don't like that person. For whatever reason, they make me uncomfortable. I don't like them to be around or whatever. Or maybe I don't like, not that I don't like that person, but I don't
Care for the
care
energy.
for their
Yeah, yeah,
energy
yeah,
or
just yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, which is not often for me,
Mm.
but I know I've experienced that many years ago. I've experienced it where I was jealous of the person or people, or maybe it wasn't somebody specific, but it was just like people. I've experienced it where it was like, yeah, it was like that whole idea of this could turn out messy because these people are too close. Maybe it was a friend or something like that. How else have we experienced it? Yeah, and that was an interesting experience too of being a friend. And I that was something that even the friend and I were kind of sorting out for ourselves as well too. It's like, do we want to go into this territory? Because we're friends. Like this could potentially change things between us. Like, who knows? So that was interesting. And another interesting thing is we're talking about people, but we've also experienced where we were picking and choosing where we felt comfortable to be non-monogamous or to be out as non-monogamous, like actually literally locations. So there was a point in our relationship where we would go on a date, we kind of had this agreement that, I didn't always want to follow it at all. Where it was like, oh, in these locations, you guys got to be look like completely platonic, no PDA, no nothing, like yeah, and out in public, like we don't want anybody we know to run into us and question and all this stuff. So that was a challenge. Or like at the kids' school or something like
Yeah.
that. I know that came up for me. So
Yeah, and I'm so funny you say that because I was gonna say for me it was fear of judgment, right? When I was talking about hey out in public places and worried about somebody seeing her and she was pushed back against that and it's fast forward and she brought up the school and then that became the space for her to feel like all the things, and so and that's why I tell my couples like understand it we possibly gonna come to a space where we're gonna shift and switch roles, right? Role reversal. So understand how you feel now and know that when it's comes to you and you want these things, how you showed up in this moment. And I think that one of our solutions, to backtrack, one of our solutions was like, you know what? I may not like this person, or I may not care about this person's energy, whatever, and I'm not going to stop you from seeing them. I just don't choose. For me, I don't choose to share space with them. Like we agree that we won't bring certain people around so where we got to deal with them. Like you can deal with them on your own, but I'm not going to deal with them because that's not somebody I would choose to deal with. So that was one of our ways to kind of like resolving like okay, cool. Like I'm gonna go hang out. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like yeah.
That's
did
so
we
funny.
overshare? Did we overshare? Are we oversharing?
No, I don't think
Just
so.
a side note, we're not, condoning one thing or another. So
Yeah.
these are just,
Yeah. This yeah.
we
Yeah.
have 23 years
Yeah,
of
this is our
relationship.
journey and figuring out how what works for us and we yeah, obviously we worked to a space that worked for the both of us, through trial and error, through a lot of trial, a lot of error.
Yeah.
So how is that? I mean, well, thank you first for doing it. We always use you a lot, your real personal experiences. But how does that conversation even start with you? Is it just so natural with you two now that you can just say, "Hey, I'm interested in somebody. Let's talk about it."
Yeah, yeah,
Now, yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And yeah, I think that speaking of I'm so like I had moved to a space. This is around the time that Zolani well, Melissa was pregnant with Zoe, so this is like 4 years ago. Just to go back in time, and I remember Melissa was interested in a friend of mine, and I was like, okay, cool, like when she came to me, she's like, "Hey," and I was like, "Okay, cool. I'll set it up." That's kind of where I'd moved to. I was like, like, "Okay, cool. I'll set it up." A good friend of mine, and I'm because I thought about, I was like, man, like we always talk about, like, what type of person we want our person to date or see. Like, if I have a good friend who I trust, like, what better situation could I have? Like, I like this person. I think he cool, like, and it kind of like, I hang out with him, like, so why would, like, and so that's kind of how I kind of viewed it in my head. And I was like, yeah, like I'll help create this situation and set this up. And Melissa has done the same thing for me as well. So we have done it for each other a couple of times now.
Kelly?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm trying to think, how do we put this in terms that could be helpful to some people listening, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's a hard thing to ask y'all because you have been doing it so long and it is so natural at this point. But what would some ABCs or one, two, threes of kind of starting to have these conversations? How would you talk a client through it?
I know we say this and it's like beating a dead horse, but because we say this so much, but honestly, and it was so hard for me to understand it. It was so hard for me to get it, but it really started with myself, just really checking in and being honest with me. What was I really okay with and what I really wasn't okay with? How did I really feel? Like what was all the things coming from me if I was honest with myself, and I couldn't just say, well, I don't like this because I'm uncomfortable. This it doesn't feel good to me. I have to ask myself, like, why doesn't it feel good to me? Why am I uncomfortable? And I think that's where it starts at, to be able to have that very honest conversation with your partner, because then you get to go to your partner and really be vulnerable and transparent about what is really coming up for you, and what where these feelings are stemming from. Like why are you feeling this way? And it's not even associated with the thing that they're trying to do. It's something in the past or something that has already been ongoing or happening that you've been feeling that's made you want to say, be resistant in the space and give all the, the no's and all the things. And so that's just my thought.
I'm really trying to put this in practical steps. Thank you, Callie, for saying that because I think I experienced that a lot where it's like we've been in this for so long. It does come kind of natural. It's hard to kind of backtrack and be like, well, how do I put this into actual steps that we can share with people practically? It was a little hard, but I think my input to this would be maybe a step before Wayne's is like the person who maybe is interested in the person who might potentially be on the messy list or whatever the case, is to really own that. And this could be partially abstract, but it's to like really own that desire because I know that's something that I struggled with. It's like not really owning that interest or the desire. And so then when I brought it up to Wayne, it kind of would come out messy, because it would already kind of set that messy tone. And so I wanted to practice. I tried practicing like just bringing it up kind of, I don't know, kind of dry and direct and like, you know, very, yeah, clear cut. Like kind of like you said, Kelly, like I'm interested in this person, I'm feeling attracted to this person. I'm feeling interested in them. How do you feel about that? And then giving a moment, for Wayne to kind of share and express whatever's coming up with for him in that moment, which I learned could be something totally different once he has time to kind of really feel his feelings and think things out and process things or whatnot. So I think a practical thing I would say is like, having an initial kind of check-in or conversation about it, share as best as you can whatever feelings, thoughts are coming up for both of you. Um, and then give it a moment and then come back and maybe have another conversation about it after you've maybe sat with it for a little bit. And then, yeah, do your best to, I guess, maybe to address the concerns, but also to see, is there a way that this can work? Like, are there things that you might need or that you requested that, I don't know, that we can do this in a way so that can work out. And it's not going to be perfect. I think even sometimes in those negotiating and like So wants to be part of in the negotiating or the compromising that, it can come back later where it needs more adjustments or whatever. So we've experienced that for sure.
It
Yeah,
always needs more adjustments, right? Like
Yeah,
it's never finalized, especially when it's a friend, right? It's a friend of Wayne's or it's a friend, and now you two are gonna get into a relationship, and is it gonna shift Wayne's relationship with the friend?
right.
Does
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Does it have to?
So for me, again, like I'm because I came to a space where I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna make this weird. I'm gonna be. I think that the other person, it was weird for them, not so much me, and I would try to make jokes or be cool about it. I think they became uncomfortable, just because of their own things that they were dealing with and whatever that was, So yeah, that's the only, I think that was the only thing, A step that I also wanted to add in is that I think that a practical step is asking your partner how do they like to receive information. Like for me, it was very direct. I was like, I need you to be just very direct with me. I don't need you to kind of like because I didn't because like she said, she would come nervously and it'd be a long, drawn out conversation. She's like, well, so
Worst.
I
And
was
you're like, just come
thinking,
out with it.
Those are the worst.
yeah,
All right, Mo, noted.
yeah.
Come to Mo, very direct.
Yeah, and I even have problems with coming direct to somebody as well. So I'm not going to say that I'm above that, but it's at the same time, I prefer somebody to be very direct with me, and so because that works for me, so I can because I'm just sitting there anticipating and waiting for the shoe to drop and all the things. Like just give it. Even
What are you
even so, when
saying?
she would
Spit it
go on
out,
dates,
Melissa. Spit it
right?
out.
Even when she would first start going on dates and she would come back and tell me what would happen, I'd be like, look, give me the biggest thing first. And after that I would decide if I care to even hear anything else. Like just give me the biggest thing. Like I'm good with that. Like, yeah, let's start with big and then we can work our way
Big
around all the
out.
other things. Yeah, yeah. So I don't have to sit here with all
I
this
am going on a
anxiety.
date with your friend.
Yeah, okay. Like, yeah, work with that.
I literally don't know how to be concise. I try for the life of me, and in my trying, it still ends up so so long-winded. I just don't have that brain part.
That's funny. Yeah, because there's emotions involved. When emotions are involved, it's never that cut and dry. For Wayne, it is because he's like, "What are you trying to say?" But you're like thinking about Wayne's feelings, thinking about this other person's feelings, thinking about your own feelings, thinking about what
Exactly.
could potentially happen. Like you're trying to like
Manage
manage all
manage
of those
all the
things.
things. Exactly.
Yeah, that makes
Exactly.
it hard to be direct.
Exactly. Which it feels sometimes like a double-edged sword to be direct or not in the just the directness, but in the dropping the management thing because the fear is okay, if I drop all of the management stuff, then I'm afraid that I'm going to be accused of not caring or being selfish or being too cold or being too blah 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 blah. Blah. So, it's like
So many things.
I don't know, which do you want? Yeah, there is a happier medium somewhere there that I'm still learning. So
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I think that we're now getting to see it because, like you said, Kelly, we're so comfortable with one another, but we're seeing it now play out in our other relationships with others now. It's like almost not starting from the beginning, but us coming in with all the information we have and all the knowledge we have and trying to give that to somebody else who does not have that, and it's like,
but
yeah.
also taking in how we have um been with each other and engaged with each other because it's just kind of second nature now or for whatever you say it. But then going in to do that with other people and they're like, what is this? What are you doing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's happening here? Like, okay, that's not working here. This doesn't work here. Okay.
Yeah. Or, like, oh, why are we talking about this? Like this feels so hard. Or, it's like I'm feeling uncomfortable because we're even discussing this out loud, like, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but then you get to sort of do some work around breaking down those tropes of this is what's correct. When that may not be what feels correct to you, so you get to kind of talk about what the norm is and break it down. Mo, you haven't said a lot this time. What's
I
going
haven't.
on in your head?
Yeah, I'm just listening.
No walk. A walk outside.
What's up? What's that?
She wants to go on a walk, I
She
think.
wants to go for a walk.
Oh,
It is a lovely day in LA to go for a walk. It's
is
just
it?
really windy. Yeah, it's really windy though. That's the only thing.
It is, yeah.
Do I need to bring a coat?
Jacket.
Definitely the jacket, yeah.
Jacket and sweater. Layers.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's in the 60s for the next couple of days, and then the next week it gets in the 70s. But anyways, uh yeah. Um yeah, yeah, so I guess like I don't know what I'm hearing is that just between, am I correct me if I'm wrong, difference between the messy list and the veto power is that basically the veto power is in the moment when somebody's brought up and the messy list is created ahead of time, so we can kind of like she said, it's kind of in collaboration. We sit down, it's like, okay, so you can't, these people are off, we can't mess with these people, but a veto list is like in the moment, like, no, I'm not okay with that.
Yeah, veto power is, um, yeah, in the moment. And veto power can extend to different things beyond people. People are on the messy list, right? Like groups of people, family, siblings, friends,
Yeah,
coworkers, um, employees of, let's say your partner is a boss, maybe their
What?
employee is off limits, like just kind of talking about those things, because I think it does kind of overlap with this idea that, you know, especially the workplace, like maybe you're not out at work.
yeah,
Maybe you're not out at work, and so your partner dating your coworker or employee, like that's gonna overlap with this, like now everybody at work's gonna know, or how does that work? So they're all, I mean, like everything is a case by case conversation. I don't think of veto power as being the same as a messy list at all,
yeah,
because I think that veto power suggests it creates a power imbalance, right? Like someone has the power to say we do or we don't do this. And so the person that vetoes has the power. Like if someone says, "Oh, we want to close this relationship up," or "I want to close this relationship up," the other people involved, um, now have less power, right? It kind of creates that power differential. Um, but veto power can be used for a variety of things, right? It doesn't just have to be around people.
yeah. Mhm. And I also wanted to add, like, I know that sometimes we can feel like we're okay with, and this has come up, this conversation come up lately, that we can feel okay with what we're doing, but not feel okay with what our partner's doing. So then again, and even in thinking about that and just being honest about that aspect of it, like, you know, me and Melissa laugh about it now, but I remember because you brought up work, and I remember I was supposed to work with somebody and they were interested in getting together, and Melissa was like, yeah, no, I'm not okay with you dealing with somebody who you're working with, and I was like, okay, I don't even think we really went into conversation of why. It's more so like, okay, cool. At that time, that's where we were in our relationship. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm not gonna do that. And then like 2 weeks later, she was like, hey, so this person at work I'm working with, I'm interested in. I was like, what? Like, no, like, like we just had this conversation. But she, but at the same time, though, I know that she probably felt different in the sense of like I'm approach this differently than you would for whatever reasons I think in my head about how you would approach it and how I would, and just that, again, going back to just the how do we really trust one another to show up in a certain way or represent us in a way, all those type of things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think representation matters too, right? If you are, worried about your reputation or how someone's going to view you or how you're going to be viewed.
Yeah. And
But
I think
again, like what Kelly was saying, like it does kind of start to feel like a lot of agreements, right? And one thing that comes up a lot is like you get into non monogamy because we don't like the agreements, right? there's so many agreements and rules in society, and monogamy is one of them. And so with non-monogamy, it's not anarchy, right? It's not like this complete like wild west, do whatever the f you want. There are some agreements between partners that make sense, and I think the messy list is one of them. But like again, you've got to decide, right? Like I think that if you start to have too many rules, then what's the difference between being non-monogamous and monogamous, right? Like now you're just like trying to like juggle, like, okay, did I do this piece right? Did I do this piece right? Oh gosh, now I said the wrong thing. Like the goalpost just constantly moves.
Yeah. What you just said, what I made me think of, I want the freedoms of non-monogamy with the safety of monogamy.
Oh yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah. And I think that's where, yeah. And I think that's where a lot of the things start to come up around because of that, right? Trying to do both, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I love the idea of me being able to engage with others and get experience at the same time. I need to feel comfortable and safe enough that you're not going to care about somebody more than me or leave me or make me feel uncomfortable and I'm your priority and all the other things that come along with the ideas of monogamy.
We might have
You're
frozen.
saying you can't do that?
No, I'm saying that's what like we want to be non-monogamous because of all the freedoms, but we wanted the safety of monogamy while being in a non-monogamous relationship.
I think
We
that's
want
where a
both
lot of the
and
conundrums come in, is what
yeah.
I'm saying. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna cut this one short because I actually have a client today at 1 right after this.
Lucky client.
Right, so
Um,
next time.
this was awesome.
But we'll all see each other in person on Sunday.
Yes, we will. Yeah. And by the way, I think that
Yeah.
yeah, you guys had I think some people are going to walk away with some pretty practical things out of this one. I think if they listen, when they listen to it, they'll hear a couple of things that can be helpful for them because I think that I'm sure some things will come up and some people listen to this. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think so too. Zolani, it was good to see you.
Hi, Zoe. You sure are cute.
Maybe we'll see you on Sunday in person.
You want to see them on Sunday? Hmm.
No. Nope. Nope.
All right.
All right, everyone.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
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 She gonna hit the cover.